Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're three wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and a drift to go out.
Back there, go on board with Ben Gregory now. I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This because it seems my connection has disappeared. There we go, it has just come back. Hello everybody, Chaz Draycott here for the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship from Magny-Cours. Unfortunately, we've had a disconnection here, so we're just going to get back into the session and hopefully get everything set back up, and we will be right back with you. We're going to replay the adverts and so on, get them cycling back through while we get things figured out in the background. Please do bear with us.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're three wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and a drift to go out.
Back there, go on board with Ben Gregory now. I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott here with the wonderful Ed May alongside me for the Chaz Draycott Media Formula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com. Apologies for these issues. Unfortunately, I was disconnected from the session and just about everything a few moments ago, so now we're just trying to get back into the session, and because I was already registered as a spectator, it was having trouble letting me in, so I have had to register as a driver to then hopefully get back in the session and crack on with it and get a view from there. So I'm just loading into that in the background now, but we're at Circuit Nevers Magny-Cours, which is a hell of a racetrack and has been on the F1 calendar many a time in the past, especially during the late 90s. It was a real fantastic addition to have to the calendar. And Ed, there's going to be not the most overtaking opportunities around here tonight. Drivers are going to have to get very creative, aren't they, around this amazing circuit?
Yeah, they will do, but the drivers of Formula 1 are nothing if not creative with the moves that they like to pull off. We saw some excellent moves last time out at the Canadian Grand Prix at Montreal. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve did not disappoint, and this is the first time we will be here at the wonderful Circuit Magny-Cours, a circuit that I know I've not had too much experience with, but I know, Chaz, you certainly have. Yes,
it's one of those circuits where, you know, I've driven this circuit quite a lot on my own, but I've never actually raced around this circuit, you know. It's one of those that's quite difficult to get right every time. There's a lot of long flowing corners here, especially in this car as well. It's certainly one that will bring out that horrible, horrible four-wheel drift that we see in these cars, and drivers will have to learn how to manage that as best they can. Here's a look at the Drivers' Championship coming into this round then. After an amazing maximum point score at the Canadian Grand Prix for Cam Dance, he leads the championship now by 14 points from Jake Cranstone, who had an absolute torrid time after an accident near the start of the race put him right down the order. He managed to recover but only get 3 points on the board. Behind him is Pete Harrod. He's another 7 points back, and he's 8 points clear of Silas Craig-Vrolic. We then have Ben Hoffman in 5th place with Benetton. Sam Fitzpatrick next up after a great 2nd place ahead of Tim Perry, Kevin Zemstra, Jack Stiles and Tom Minot. It's very, very close in the middle of the pack between those guys. Looking at the team's championship standings, though, it's Williams Mechachrome that have gone to the top of the pile here, ahead of McLaren Mercedes by 9 points. And then it's best of the rest. Jordan Mugen Honda ahead of Ferrari, who are 8 points ahead of Arrows Yamaha. Arrows having a really good season, to be fair. 5 points clear of Benetton Playlife, only represented up to this point, Ed, by Ben Hoffman. However, looking at it, Ben is not going to be alone for this evening, because he has himself a wonderful teammate this time round, does he not, in the form of Jesper Eriksson, who joins the championship. And based on practice and the fact, well, I've got a black livery for him at the moment, which is a great sign, but he's going very, very well, up in 2nd place in this session.
Yes, it is. We see Pete Harrod just diving into the pits. It's going to be exciting to see what the newcomer can do here. He is going to be one of the, if not actually the first driver out of the pits. So expect him to try and set that benchmark time for the rest to follow, because his practice is looking very strong indeed. You can see now Silas Craig-Vrolic having a little battle here with someone on the circuit. I'm not sure who that is. That's the 71 of Sam Fitzpatrick in the Williams Mechachrome car. Lovely little battle between the McLaren and the Williams, as we've been seeing, well, pretty much all season long, haven't we, Chaz?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see the battles always going on here as practice comes to an end, and I get scared that my internet disconnected again on the spot there, but no. We get qualifying underway then, and actually the first car that is going to be going out on circuit tonight is going to be championship newcomer Jesper Eriksson, so he's going to be the first one to leave the box. I've fixed the livery. He's not got his wheels painted the right colour, but that's on me for forgetting to tell him. As I'm going to post in the chat in a moment, I really want to apologise everybody for the disconnects. Unfortunately, the technology around here where I live is, despite being near new build houses, they've still got a lot of copper wiring in the ground here for the internet, and we've got a sort of underground cabinet just down the street. And I'm afraid with the hot temperatures as it increases here in the UK, it gets really, really bad for humidity building up and then settling again, and then when it gets hotter it rises again. Affects all the copper wiring and the internet connections. But in just over a week's time, I'm going to be getting fibre installed to the actual premises itself. So hopefully we should not have any issues going forward and have better quality streams as well. So fingers crossed for that. But Jesper Eriksson, Swedish driver. We've commentated on him before, actually, in Formula 3 cars, Ed, and he was very, very good in those. Very quick, a real championship contender on his day. I'm excited to see whether he can do anything with this, and really make a mark on this championship. And, of course, score big points for Benetton, because in 1998 they were pretty good and up there at certain points.
Yeah, they were good. They were just a little bit inconsistent, weren't they, I believe, in the 98 season. But like you rightly mentioned, they are a team that on their day could really upset the apple cart from those main competitors, the likes of McLaren's, Williams and Ferrari as well. So it's interesting to see how Jesper Eriksson will fare, just getting the tyres and car properly warmed up before starting his first flying lap of the session and of course of the season as well. A driver that's come in with very little experience with this car in particular. It's going to be interesting to see how he can manage as he slings his way through the final chicane to start his flying lap.
Here he comes then through the first corner, grand curve. Long sweeping left-hander, very, very quick. We'll go on board with him, actually, just see how it looks as he goes into the long right-hander, turn 2, Estoril, up towards a little kink that's called Gulf. Now, they can get away with a lot of the car being off the road on that left-hand side there and not be too bad. He's actually keeping it all the way over to the right here as well. He's not sort of letting the car over to the left just yet. He starts to do that now as he heads down towards the hairpin at Adelaide. A lot of these corners actually named after corners that they sort of represent from other circuits around the world. Or they're named after circuits that they're nicked from, let's base it that way. But Jesper Eriksson, of course, doing a purple first sector so far. That scared the life out of me.
Me too.
We've got Simon Price, who's actually been off the road and back on again. And I think his lap has actually been completely he invalidated it straight away. So Simon's actually backed out of his lap. He was the second car on the circuit. The next two are going to be the Minardis of John Roberts and his teammate Rob Lundgren. John has very kindly made a suit for the Minardi drivers tonight, which has become part of the paint pack. But look at Jesper Eriksson pushing here. It's interesting to see how he gets on, because he's going to be one of the first drivers, or the first driver, to set a time. So then he is an instant yardstick for everybody else, and we get to compare them all the way through the session. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, as am I, Chaz, as am I, as we see Jesper Eriksson going towards the latter stage of the lap. Just the final chicane to come, and he gets that really nicely done. Careful on the exit. You can use a lot of the runoff area. Jesper Eriksson comes across the line for a 1:34.996, just inside the 1:34 bracket. That could be a very strong time indeed. Will it be enough for pole? Well, only time will tell, as we have the next drivers out on the circuit ready to start their flying laps. John Roberts in the Minardi Ford.
Yep, John just popping his little Minardi round the final couple of corners now. I didn't brief Jesper on the in-laps either, to be honest. They have to do a complete in-lap in this championship, but it's his first time, and he's just dipped under 1:35. Here's John Roberts then going into Estoril in one of my favourite looking cars this season. There's his teammate Rob Lundgren just coming through the first corner as well. Now you can see they're not running as much over on the curb on the right as Jesper did, and not really running as wide either on the right-hand side. But TP Sim Racing, I think, is Tim Perry in the YouTube chat. He's saying that is really quick by Jesper, and obviously he's in the session as well, racing for Ferrari. But lovely stuff by John Roberts, nice and tidy down into Adelaide, and he is 6 tenths off what Jesper Eriksson has done in that first sector. So we can see that despite Jesper being the first car out, it's definitely not representative of the pace we're going to see from him. Lovely stuff though by John through the chicane there at Nürburgring, very quick one way then the other. That looked great. 180 is so tough as well in these cars. That's another one where when you're on your downshifts, you really need to mind out there, don't you, Ed?
Yeah, the car has a nasty habit of over-rotating, but a lot of these drivers with the experience they have behind the wheel know just how to manage it, and we shouldn't see too just falling foul with 180. You might see a couple here and there just by pushing a little bit too hard, maybe on their quali laps or maybe in the race scenario. But like you say, it's a nasty corner, but I think the drivers are going to be just about okay as we come down now towards the, well, not really the second to last corner, but there's a lock up there for John, who takes a lot of speed into the corner as well to keep it inside the bounds of the circuit. Cautious as you could expect through the final